Morning.
Morning.
We have problems.
Oh, Joy, there are no problems, only solutions.
I should warn you, this guy's a little rough around the edges. Say hello to our new guest commentator.
Who's this delightful creature?
I'm your producer.
I like your woman on top.
Oh. Stick to the script. You hear my voice? Just do what I say.
Promise you'll talk dirty?
Guess what? I met a surgeon last night.
Well, you know what that means.
What?
I'd stick his finger up.
Oh, gross.
Now listen, men are very visual. Now that is a bra.
Oh, I love how you assume all men are as perverse as you are.
Oh, I don't assume. I know. So, did the surgeon ask you out?
Oh, my. Not yet.
If you do exactly as I say, you'll get this guy.
You're really that confident? All right, deal.
I'm gonna make this guy your bitch. Rule number one, we have to teach you flirting.
I know how to flirt.
Put the hot dog in slowly.
Whoa!
I don't think so. You have to be two people, the librarian and the stripper. Laugh at whatever he says.
What if what he's saying isn't funny?
That's irrelevant. For men, self-improvement ends at toilet training. Now that was perfect. Real or fake?
You'll never know.
Wow, you look great.
Oh, I was just doing the dishes.
I think he likes you.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's dreamy.
You're such a man whore.
Why am I a man whore?
You're telling me you've never slept with the Fun Bag Twins.
I only slept with the one who could read. Would you stop doing that?
Why? Is it turning you on?
Maybe.
I think I kind of like it.
Really?
Suck it.
I wouldn't do it.
The ugly truth.
Welcome to They Called Us a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Called Us a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCDAM Pod. We are also now a proud member of Geek Vibes Nation, and you could find them at gvnation.com. Welcome back to They Called Us a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio, and with me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Myers. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Question for you guys. Is this the first movie in a while where you could exactly, like, almost, and maybe it's just me, pinpoint in your head about what year it was made just by the first song of the movie?
I knew it was early 2000s.
I don't know the last time we had a movie that actually played real music.
That could be true too. maybe that's why I thought of it. But as soon as it hit that first thing in my head, I was just like, I wish we were doing commentary on this.
I feel like we had this conversation about Hoku though yet last week.
That's true.
We're playing our hits.
Well, I'm saying that was more of a feel of a time period. Like, I'm pretty sure this is like, what, 2004?
This movie?
I think it might be like 2008.
You're 9. This is 2009.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Then maybe I'm wrong. But
You're
I
off
thought
by
I had
half a decade.
I'm getting old. Things are like,
Yeah.
oh, that was that long ago?
Yeah, it's 13 years ago.
Jesus.
Katy Perry.
But yeah, that was it. As soon as the movie opened, I just, that popped in my head, but I had completely forgotten about Snow Day.
Yeah.
It's been a long week.
All right, well, besides Mark not knowing what year it is, what did you guys watch this week? Anything?
I actually watched a few things. I kind of went on a Clint Eastwood run. I only watched a couple movies. I watched In the Line of Fire with John Malkovich and Rene Russo. That was from '93. I'd never seen it before, but it piqued my interest. Pretty good. John Malkovich was awesome. Then I watched. Yeah, he's great. I watched Unforgiven because
Nice.
I think it was Gene Hackman's birthday a few days ago, so I decided to watch that. And man, such a good movie. I kind of forgotten how good it was, but enjoyed that. Then I watched Critical Role, the first 2 episodes of Critical Role on Amazon. I don't want to spoil anything. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I forgot that I did.
Okay.
I actually, it was going to be the thing I said. I actually did mean to watch it all weekend and just forgot
we
to.
had snow this weekend too.
I got tied up doing other things, video game wise. But
So you didn't see it, Mark?
no. But yeah, but by the time it got, I was done doing what I was doing with the video game I was playing. I was like, oh, it's midnight. I'm old and I'll probably fall asleep trying to watch this at like 12:30 at night.
I just got to resign myself to the fact that Mark will never contribute to this portion of the show ever again. It's gone. It's never happening.
I will make one promise to you. When a lot of good movies, or at least some interesting movies, start coming out in theaters again, I will probably start seeing them because, like I said, the theater's right next to my gym. So
Good.
When Jason Momoa in Fast and Furious comes out, you will contribute.
I'm ready for Fast 10. give me the guy that kind of looks like The Rock when you know you can't get The Rock back.
Right. Well, so I won't spoil anything, obviously, but I thought it was okay. I think the one thing I'll say is...
Can I ask a quick question before you say that?
Yeah, go for it.
Just to know just so you know. I've read the first comic. So where does it start?
It starts in a tavern, essentially.
Like where they first met. They don't know each other yet, right?
They know each other.
They know each other.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of my criticism. I have a couple things, but this really banks on you knowing. Like, they want you, like, you have to kind of know about Critical Role. They really bank on you having already known it. It was that's my real criticism with it. I thought the animation's good. Obviously, the voice acting is good. It's their characters, their voice. I didn't think they were gonna go super crude. Like, I don't mind it so much, but there's a lot of throwing up in this show. I was not expecting that, but I'm. It's only 2 episodes, so I'm not gonna judge it harshly or positively just yet on the first 2. But
I didn't know if they were going to start it at the beginning of the comics or the beginning of the show.
It's just just the show. You don't know how long they've known each other.
Okay.
And in the first episode, even one, I think it's Keyless, is like, "Why are we together?" That's a good question. Why are you together? I'm assuming that'll come along with the other episodes, or at least I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, from the comics, they do actually have a good origin.
Yeah.
Thing,
yeah.
But I don't know if they went that far back. But obviously they didn't.
It seems like they were like, here are the main points of campaign 1. Let's make sure we do these fan favorite storylines, essentially.
I
think that's what. They're just they jump right into a storyline.
Yeah, don't worry about spoiling it to me. I've watched the full campaign 1 at least 2 or 3 times. So
we are not recording this podcast for your benefit, Mark. We've got listeners.
But I'm saying, if Dan was worried about spoiling it for me because I haven't seen it.
No.
Other than that, I caught up on Peacemaker and I caught up on Boba Fett. Not sure if anyone is. I don't want to spoil those either. But
general thoughts on Boba Fett, because I've heard some things about it.
It's boring.
Yes, that is exactly what I've heard.
I will say the last episode was by far the best episode, and Boba Fett's not in it.
I was just gonna say.
I think that's a real issue when your title character is not in an episode and it's like leaps and bounds better.
Right.
Yeah. So that sucks, but it is what it is at this point. I've already invested, I guess, was it 5 episodes? So I'll finish that to the end. And
is the Peacemaker opening as good as Twitter makes me think it is?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't like it that much. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a killjoy, but it's kind of annoying, I think. Like, I get it. It's comedy, but I liked it the first time. I was like, I can't see myself watching this over and over again. I don't think there's very many TV openings that are like I can constantly watch. Usually I'll skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Game of Thrones. I kind of like the Game of Thrones open sequence, but I'd have to really think about what else I really liked. If we're going way back, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, it's probably the only ones.
Sure.
But that's it for me.
Interesting. Mark, anything?
No.
Okay. All right. I have a few things, but mostly television. So I watched the first, I think it's 3 episodes of Critical Role, is it not?
I thought it was 2.
I thought it might be
It's 3.
Is it
It's
3?
three.
Oh, I
I thought
only
it was
watched
3.
2 then. Okay.
Yeah, because they're Thursday or tonight or something. They're doing a watch along. I saw it come across Twitter.
Gotcha. So I watched that. It's exactly what I thought it would be. I'm not super surprised by any of it. It's fine. Nothing blown away by. But it seems very like it's very existent. It's very fan servicey, and I feel like the storyline is pretty fan servicey. But it's not bad.
It's very niche, right?
It's just like you said. It's like, well, if you listen to campaign 1, you're gonna get a lot more out of this than anybody that hasn't. I can't put myself into the feet of some the shoes. That's the word I'm looking for. The shoes of someone that hasn't heard at least. I don't even know how much of the first campaign I listened to, but it was a lot. So I don't really know what you could get out of it if you haven't listened to that. But it's not bad. It's an enjoyable show. You get tits in it, animated tits in like the first 5 minutes,
And balls.
and balls. So
you see
Oh,
balls.
even better.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's something for the kids. That's pretty great. We've been watching Euphoria. I don't know if you guys have seen Euphoria on HBO at all.
No, I haven't. I've seen a lot of controversy around it, though.
I don't know what the controversy is. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, was I lame, or is this not a thing that actually happens to people in high school?
It was something about one of the actresses not feeling comfortable doing certain scenes.
Oh,
And that's all I've seen about it.
gotcha. So I watched that, and then I watched the Netflix series we watched together, The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
That's a title.
So it's Kristen Bell in this series, and it's supposed to be like a send up of these, like the girl on the train or the woman in the window, like these like best-selling novel thriller murder mystery stories that airport bookstores are full of these books. And I just don't know what the joke is really where I come across with this series. It's like it'll play itself seriously for like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it'll get really goofy, and then it'll go back to being serious. And it's just like, what's the joke here? Are we supposed to say, oh yeah, these are stupid, or is it trying to have its cake and eating it too? Essentially, is where I came out of it with it.
So is it supposed to be a comedy or like a black comedy?
It's supposed to be. It borderlines on spoof.
Okay.
But at the same time, it also is playing. It's lining up with the same exact tropes that it's kind of lampooning. It's tough. It's really. I feel like we've talked about movies that are similar to this in that feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
'Cause I did see that on. I was passing by because I also started watching this show, like I think it's We Are All Dead. It's a Korean zombie series. But I passed by that, and it just, I didn't get it either. I'm like, well, okay, so I guess it was just trying to all of those things that you were talking about, right? Like the girl in the window and all that stuff. Like, all right, I get it, I guess, but it didn't seem very interesting.
Yeah, it was just weird. The weird experience all around. Like it wasn't particularly funny. It was just like there's parts when it was just like, oh, that's ridiculous. Great. Like it didn't make me laugh. It just kind of made me scratch my head. Like that was weird.
So it was basically a way to kill time.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched it with my wife, so
Could be worse, I suppose.
Yeah. That's all I think I watched. Just TV. And editing last week's podcast almost killed me.
Oh, brutal. Brutal.
But that's all we watched this week. So we are going to take a quick break and listen to some ads so we can pay those bills. And we will be back in a second. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into this week's movie. And this week is Dan's pick. And Dan, this week is a special week because we are talking about Gerarduary.
I'm a fan of this. I'm glad that you coined that term.
Yes. So for a little backstory, for some reason it feels like we have watched about a dozen Gerard Butler movies, and I think before this recording of this episode, I think we've really only watched one.
And you weren't even on that episode.
And I wasn't even on that episode.
Upstanding citizen.
But law-abiding
citizen. Yes.
but it feels like we've watched like at least 10 for whatever reason. And I think what winds up, you probably picked some Gerard Butler movies for some polls we've done in the past that haven't won. But so we've decided Dan is only allowed to pick a Gerard Butler movie in the month of February, and he gets one. So
and I'm very thankful for that.
It's kind of like we've ghettoized Gerard Butler, so he is now in a ghetto in the beginning of February. So why don't you introduce this week's Gerarduary pick?
Sure.
For this year's Gerarduary pick.
Sure.
Because it's only one.
Yeah, I only get one, and I feel like we start off on the right foot here, like on a solid Gerard Butler movie, and it combines Gerarduary and Valentine's Day, and I picked The Ugly Truth. And man, this movie, talk about a movie that will never ever get made ever again in any type of climate now. Holy shit, this movie is out of control. I remember seeing this movie. It came out the year I graduated college. I probably watched it with my wife, my then girlfriend, and kind of like showing her like, yeah, you see, that's what guys like. That's what a guy is like, and not realizing I sounded like a total douchebag. I think after watching it again, I learned the error of my ways. Oh man, I
finally,
yeah.
It took 13 years later.
But listen, we all grow and evolve as people, right? So I think it's better late than never to realize that this movie was kind of a piece of shit.
This movie will tell you that you can't grow.
I think that's what he tries
Men
to tell
don't
you.
change. Yeah.
Right. So he doesn't realize Gerard's mic in this movie. He's wrong. He's dead wrong, because I did change.
People can change. You don't always have to be a piece of shit.
That's
Floppy steaks at Trufani's, white Ferrari.
Live
for New Year's Eve.
I'm afraid that Gerard Butler doesn't think that I'm a piece of shit. Oh man, that's a good tie-in, Gerard Butler, and I think you should leave.
Yeah,
only here can we make that connection.
Yep. So, Mark, where are you coming from with The Ugly Truth?
Yeah, so I have not seen this before, which kind of shocked me. But I'm so glad Dan said what he said, because my first thought when Mike came on screen is, this is a character Dan would play, and
thanks.
just trying to get just a rile out of someone, just not like fully believing anything you're saying.
Yeah,
but just just being like the
classic devil's,
trying to get someone's goat.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, devil's advocate, just having fun with it. Like you think Mike actually believes everything he says in the movie.
Just trying to get Katherine Heigl to clutch her pearls a little bit.
Yeah.
Which he does.
Drop her monocle into a glass of champagne.
Well, I'd never.
Yeah, so my first thought is, in this genre, it's not terrible. In terms of the structure of the movie. I think the one thing that would have made this, if you could even make it really better, given the content, would have been with a better female lead than Katherine Heigl. Maybe it's just me that, she just feels dislikable to me, and it's hard to care about her relationships in a movie. But yeah, I don't even know how they got away with it in 2009, to be honest. But just the slapping the ass part of this, very much they even make a joke about sexual harassment training in this. But yeah, it felt like the reason why I thought I may have seen this before is just it feels all these Katherine Heigl movies kind of blend together in this time period.
Because she's playing the same character in each one.
Yeah, exactly. She's playing Katherine Heigl. Yeah. But yeah, it was like I always judge my movies by how many times I check how much time's left. And the only time I really checked this time was because I was squeezing it in before we started recording. And I was like, all right, how much do I have left before this gets in? But yeah, it was fine. It's just something that, is completely if you're gonna do, if you're okay with the content and don't really mind the crudeness and the a lot of chauvinistic stuff and stuff like that, it can be a something you put on just to watch. At some point, it's I don't know the words to get it, because the content's offensive, but it's not like they show anything really offensive, if you get what I'm saying. It's just like a lot of words.
It's very uncouth.
Yeah. It's kind of holds a weird place to me with that. But yeah, that's I just wish it had a better female lead than Katherine Heigl.
Okay. I have never seen this before, and I watched it for the first time starting at 7:00 the night of the record, and I watched it at 1.5 speed. So I really got the full effect of this movie.
Yeah.
It is not good. I will say that. I will disagree with you, though, in terms of your opinion on Katherine Heigl.
Okay.
I think I don't like her, but she is perfect for these roles. And that is to her detriment, because she wound up getting typecast because she plays the same character in a dozen movies in a row, roughly. Yeah, it's a 2009 movie, and it feels every which way a 2009 movie. I don't think, but it's also, it feels like it's putting on airs, really, about how uncouth it is, right? It doesn't really feel like it believes it, though.
Yeah, it does it shoehorns itself that way. Like, it really forces in the crudeness.
Like, it's all, like, we were just talking about how Dan would be this character just to get a rise out of someone, and that's really what this movie's doing. It's not believing its own. It doesn't believe Mike is right in any way. And that would be a more interesting movie if this movie was, for some reason, somehow got through the Hollywood system and just 100% believed the misogyny that it's peddling. I mean, it is a super sexist movie, but it's all like, it's platitudes that you've heard 100 times. Oh man, mental, they care. Like, it's stuff like from daytime afternoon talk shows kind of talking points. Like, men just want sex. Women want something more than that. Well, if you want to get a man, you're going to have to give blowjobs. Oh my God, I can't believe you said blowjobs. It's that kind of like nonsense. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about this movie.
Yeah, I would say the one time I had a genuine laugh in the movie was when they were in hot air balloon. Didn't know they were on camera, and the producers like all freaking out.
That's a pretty funny
And then
moment.
she says "fuck," and he goes, "Oh, that's the first one."
They're gonna curse. I know it.
I have one genuine laugh that almost a giggle, and it was almost at that scene too. It was right before that scene when Jack Magnum talks about all the girls he had sex with.
137.
Most of them conscious.
Because that was the first time it felt like, oh wow, we're going there.
Oh, real quick, the guy who plays Jack Magnum plays Sindri in God of War. I don't know if you guys have played God of War, the new one. He's the headless guy, or the bodiless guy. He's the head.
Sure.
Yeah.
The head.
So pretty cool. I just thought that was an interesting point.
Yeah. Yeah, this was I don't know why Gerard Butler did these movies.
Right, because this is after 300.
Yeah, it's like 3 years later.
Yeah, so because then I think was P.S. I Love You before or after 300.
I feel like it was, if it was after, it was like right after, but it might have been before.
Because that's the problem. I mean, like 300 was this super macho movie. It was a huge hit, catapulted him to stardom, and then you do The Ugly Truth. You do some movie about him surfing. Something with him with Nicole Aniston. Jennifer Aniston. Nicole Aniston's a porn star. I'm sorry.
Bounty Hunter. You told on yourself there.
I did. Whoops. But so he does all these like rom-com, but then he kind of got back on track with Olympia. What is it? Olympus Has Fallen. Yes.
So here we could go through it. 300, 2006. P.S. I Love You, 2007. Rock and Rolla, 2008. Ugly Truth, 2009. Gamer, 2009. Law Abiding Citizen, 2009. Very busy 2009 for him. Bounty Hunter in 2010. Then he starts doing How to Train Your Dragon in 2010. Machine Gun Preacher in 2011. Playing for Keeps 2012. Chasing Mavericks also 2012. That's the surfing movie.
Okay.
Then Olympus Has Fallen in 2013. Gods of Egypt in 2016. London Has Fallen also 2016. Geostorm 2017 was along.
Holy
20
Grail.
Den of Thieves 2018, and Angel Has Fallen in 2019, and yeah, just other stuff in between here, there, and there. But those are the big ones. So
He has
Is he-
12 upcoming projects.
Does he?
looks like
Good
it.
for him.
That's ridiculous.
Two sequels, two movies that I didn't think deserved sequels because I have no idea if they're good or not. Greenland and Den of Thieves 2.
Oh, Greenland Migration. I saw Greenland. It was very eh. He's
Yeah.
got to stay away from disaster movies.
But is he too good for those movies?
No, but I don't want him to be in those.
You are an unapologetic Gerard Butler fan.
am.
Right? Can we say that? Can we go on record and say that?
100% you can. Yes,
Okay.
I like this guy. He seems like a cool guy. I wish he would take better projects.
Is it you think he's a cool guy because of Mike, right?
No.
You think Gerard Butler is Mike in real life?
I think Gerard Butler's. I think Mike is basically like Joe Rogan right now, essentially.
Okay. Sure.
But I just think he seems like a cool guy. Not Joe Rogan. Gerard Butler. He's Scottish, right? I think he's Scottish.
Right.
He's got that awesome accent. He could probably, he could probably take you out on a good night in the town and have some cool stories. Just shoot the shit with you.
Right.
Yeah. I
Here's a question.
Yes.
Is Mike vaccinated? Do you think?
100% no. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He's 100% a MAGA dude. He would have to be,
Probably.
right?
Yeah. That would be really disappointing for his fans. I would think if he went the other way.
Yeah.
Oh man. What happened to you, Mike? You used to be cool.
Mike's woke.
Get woke, go broke, Mike.
Right, yeah, but after he gets like fired or something like that, that's what happens. Libtard.
I'm just not the demographic for this movie. I think that's what it comes down to. I don't know who is the demographic for this movie because I asked my wife if she wanted to watch this with me and she said no.
So did mine.
Like astoundingly no. Like I have no interest in that.
You know how you
Alright.
make this movie better? I'll tell you real quick. You put Judy Greer as the assistant Joy.
That 100% was felt like they couldn't get Judy
Yeah,
Greer.
I had in my notes, was Judy Greer not available? And you switch out Eric Winter's Colin for Marston. Which one is it?
James Marston.
James
Yeah,
Marston?
you put James Marston
yeah.
in there because that dude is the king of losing out on women.
He's the cuck
He
king.
is the cuck king.
Cuck king of Hollywood.
I'm surprised he didn't lose the woman to Sonic in the Sonic movie.
Well, there is a sequel, Dan.
Oh, Knuckles
Right,
is
yeah.
absolutely taking his girl.
Oh yeah. He's going knuckle deep.
Like, oh shit, that voice. I can't help it.
That's what he means when he says to Sonic, "I don't need your power," because he's gonna go get that girl.
Yeah. So
Is the
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
good? Good.
I was just,
I was gonna say, is the only movie that James Marston gets the girl is 27 Dresses, the other Katherine Heigl movie?
Katherine Heigl. Yeah, I think so. And you know what?
Let's see, when did 27 Dresses come out?
I agree with you, Ant. I like Katherine Heigl. She played the part perfectly, and I kind of feel bad for her because there's that story about how she's notoriously difficult to work with in Hollywood. I
Right.
wonder how much of that is true. Is she really that way, or is it she's been typecast that way?
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of those stories about actresses that are quote unquote difficult, nowadays you start thinking of like, how much is that just because she won't play ball with just the men in power, really? What if she probably fights for what she wants?
Right, because like one of the stories is coming from Seth Rogen. You're like, all right, well, I kind of feel like I have to take that with a grain of salt, because
Right, because she came out and talked about Knocked Up being sort of sexist, and it kind of is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really talking about the same. It's really talking about the same kind of stuff that this movie does.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, except for instead of being Gerard Butler, you're a schlubby dude that wants to smoke weed all day.
Yeah. Yeah. At least in her defense, she's dropping that for Gerard Butler, who is in vastly better shape.
Yeah.
And has career goals, unlike Seth Rogen's character. Yeah, and so I kind of want to side with her mostly. I don't want to take like her side fully because you never know. I mean, she could be really difficult to work with. I don't know, but I agree. I think it's probably her fighting for something that she believes and just getting that label. She's difficult. She's difficult because this is going to sound shallow, but she's very attractive. She's a good-looking woman. I think she was pretty good in this, and I liked her in Knocked Up. I thought that she was funny in that. So yeah, I don't hate her in this. I couldn't think of someone better to really play Abby. But yeah, I think the one thing in this movie that I did like, there was some good chemistry between a couple of the actors and I like John Michael Higgins and Cheryl Hines. I think they're very funny. I got a couple laughs out of them. There's a line when they're getting ready for to go on air, and John Michael Higgins talks about how there's a bird in his dressing room.
Oh yeah, that was like,
yeah. There's a live bird in there just flying around. I'll take care of it. Yeah, please do. And it's just like, where is that coming from?
And then Cheryl Hines characters. Oh, someone's got to keep the doors shut.
Yeah. I mean, those two are very funny. I thought Gerard Butler and Katherine Heigl had pretty good chemistry for the most part. You know, nothing like groundbreaking, but I believed there was a little something there, which is more than we could say for most of the movies that we watch that have this type of this type of genre. Yeah, but it's not a good movie in any sense of the way. It's definitely a product of its time. I think you look at it through a lens and you would say, yeah, this is bad. But if you look back at it in 2009, you would say it's bad, but it's entertaining.
Sure.
Yeah. So just adding to the joke that she might be difficult to work with, the 27 Dresses, which James Marsden was in, came out before The Ugly Truth. So if they had asked him to do The Ugly Truth, there's the sort of, he already had experience with her.
Yeah. But anyway, that would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, go ahead. Sorry.
No, good. I was just going to say, this is just definitely a movie that exists in a time where The Man Show was still on the air.
With Joe Rogan at that point.
With Joe Rogan and Doug Stanhope, yeah.
That's right. Who would have thought? Right? Look how far we've come, guys.
Just looking through her IMDb, so we'll start at 27 Dresses. So I think that's really or at least it starts the trend. So then it's 27 Dresses, Ugly Truth, Killers, which I think we
did watch that.
Yep.
Life as We Know It, New Year's Eve, One for the Money, and I think that's like the last one. But those all were in a row. Those movies between 2008 and 2011.
And One for the Money is like a spiritual sequel to Bounty Hunter.
Is it?
Starring Gerard Butler.
Oh, no way.
I mean, she plays like a bounty hunter.
I'd never even heard of that movie.
Yeah, and then I don't think she goes back to romantic comedies for a while.
I'm curious, does she have anything lined up?
Yeah, she has. She's currently in a series called Firefly Lane.
Okay.
On Netflix, and she has one project coming up.
A Woodhull, whatever that is.
Another TV
miniseries.
It seems like she's back in TV.
That's cool. Good for her.
Yeah, she was in Suits for 26 episodes.
Yeah, again, it could be either way. This is a he said, she said kind of thing where...
Yeah, it's no Jeff Garland.
Well, I wish her the best. And I wish Gerard Butler the best, because I love him. And
This is why we had to give Dan a 1 week a year to talk about Gerard Butler movies.
I think I kind of have to come to the realization I have a man crush.
You
He's
do
a
have a
legit
man
man crush. I think he's a good looking dude.
There you go.
I don't know about now. He's got to be like 50, right? I'm not saying 50-year-old men can't look good, but I don't know if he's caught up with him. I still got your back, Gerard.
Doesn't sound like it. He's over 50.
Though in Phantom of the Opera, he's pretty bad. He was totally miscast for Phantom of the Opera. Yeah,
I can believe
not
that.
Great. I don't know what they were going for there. They tried something different and missed. That's okay.
What was I thinking? The scene with Craig Ferguson. I wonder like how much Craig made fun of him for doing his American accent.
Yeah, they probably got on each other a little bit. Can you?
The first thing I thought of, like, is he going to slip in this scene?
Can you imagine if he went on like Fallon? It would have been. I couldn't think of anything more annoying.
Fallon would have rubbed his hair.
This totally misogynistic douchebag. Jimmy Fallon's just like humanizing him. Oh, isn't he great, everybody? This guy's the best.
So you want to go play the egg game, Mike?
Have him sing or something. Oh God, I can't think of anything more annoying than those two together.
Him and Paris
So,
Hilton.
yeah, there you go.
So, The Ugly Truth from 2009 is directed by Robert Luketic, and just listen to this Murderer's
Oh, boy.
Row that he's directed. Legally Blonde, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton, Killers, Monster-in-Law, 21, Paranoia, and The Wedding Year.
Okay.
We've covered Killers before. Stars Katherine Heigl, Gerard Butler, Bree Turner, Eric Winter, Cheryl Hines, John Michael Higgins, Nick Searcy, Noah Matthews, Bonnie Somerville, Yvette Nicole Brown, and Nate Cordry. Has an IMDb score of 6.4 and a Rotten Tomato score of 14%. Budget $38 million. Box office $88 domestic, $321 million worldwide.
It's a hit.
It's a hit. Yep. Certified hit.
But
I mean, there's a reason she kept making them.
here's the thing.
Yep.
You can't make a sequel, right?
No.
No, none of her romantic comedy could make us. Maybe The Killers.
I would say
maybe?
that would be the most likely, right? Because it's an action movie. Yeah, this you couldn't, right? It's just that's it. That's how it ends. They get together.
28 dresses.
28 dresses, right? Right, because that would make sense. Because then she would be. I never saw 27 dresses, so please excuse me if I'm totally butchering this.
I don't know if it ends.
Wouldn't the 28th dress be her wedding dress? Unless I don't know if she gets married at the end of 27 dresses, but
I don't know if she had 26 bridesmaids dresses and one wedding dress, or it was just 27 bridesmaids dresses. I have no
couldn't
idea.
tell you. And if you're out there, let us know, I guess, or don't. I have no idea.
Nobody cares. We don't really care.
We'll just pretend that, or like maybe she gets divorced from James Marsden.
But we would love the engagement. So
What if the 28th dress is her mourning dress and he dies in between two movies?
She wears black for the whole year.
James Marsden's like, I'm making that Sonic money now. I don't need to be in
See you later, Catherine.
With James Marsden luck, he would have died on the way to the wedding.
Right.
He finally gets the girl and he just dies before he could do anything.
There is one scene that I remember from that movie. Apparently, they're both big Elton John fans, so he's got to be belting out like "Goodbye Yellow Brick Road" or something on the way, and just he's feeling it, and he just swerves off the road.
He just gets T-boned by a tractor trailer.
Oh, goodbye,
man.
Yellow Brick Road.
And then like it just the camera pans over the accident and like the radio is still playing the song.
Oh. And then the next shot is Katherine Heigl's character at the altar. It's like, nervously, oh, he'll be here. Oh, he's fine. Don't worry. And then one of the bridesmaids rushes in, whispers, and she just collapses. And then, boom, title card, 28 dresses.
And that bridesmaid played by Judy Greer.
Yes, perfect. I love it. I love this movie.
Oh yes, let's make it. Yeah. Okay. That's it for this podcast. We're gonna go off
Yeah, we
like
gotta-
28 right now.
Gotta go get in touch with Katherine Heigl's manager.
Man, yeah, maybe she'll be into it. She
Now,
might be into it.
Now, real quick, does she find love again, or is...
Yes. So this movie is about finding love after she found love.
Right. Yeah.
Does or is it about loving yourself?
Yes.
And learning to move on after you've lost love.
I think either works, but I don't think we have enough of those movies, right? Where you don't have to necessarily find another love.
Yeah.
Because I think there's nothing wrong with self-love and self-healing. We get that in there. You can have another love interest, and he doesn't have to be a bad guy. It's just like,
right.
Hey,
I feel like this is turning into P.S. I Love You, to be honest with you.
But we don't have any notes. Like,
right.
James Marsden wouldn't have had time to leave notes.
Ooh, what if the note is his handwritten vows that she reads at the end?
That would be pretty cool.
That she can't she can't bring herself to read his vows.
Yeah, because it's still too close.
Yeah. We're workshopping it. We're workshopping it.
Yeah, I like it. I feel like do we have two love interests or just the one? Maybe we go. I think of who's hot right. Chris Pratt. No. Maybe we go with. I'm trying to think Marvel here because Marvel has everybody.
It's Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah, that's not bad. Chris Evans, Simu Liu might not be a bad choice. He's pretty good looking.
Yeah. What about that? What's his? The dude from Midnight Mass. That handsome.
Yes.
Handsome guy with the beard.
Shit. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
I like him. I think, and he's a good-looking guy too.
I'm pulling it up.
He was in all those movies or those shows, right, on Netflix, all the haunting shows.
Roll Coley?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. I knew it started with an R.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any three of those guys I like, and the good thing is they're not bad people. She has fun with them. She's kind of forcing herself to have fun with them, right?
Right.
So it's not natural, and
she's trying to move on before she's moved on.
Perfect, right? And she does she find the vows, or has she had them this whole time?
I think she's had them the whole time, right? Because he would have had them on him,
right? And like maybe when she goes to identify the body,
is the coroner like eating a sandwich?
He's listening to his Walkman, eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like I guess she surprises him, right? Like, this is what he had on him at the time. Sorry for your condolences, and Bruce Springsteen is playing in his headphones for some reason. Yeah, I like that, and she doesn't read them, and maybe she's getting ready to go out for a big date with one of these guys, whoever's playing the main, and she's bummed out, and she looks at it. Marston's character writes whatever, just like, I look forward to spending my entire life with you through the good, the bad, whatever. Obviously, we'll write that up. We'll punch it up and make it way more sappy and tear jerking. And yeah, she realizes like there's nothing that could top that. There's no one who could beat him. That was it. She's just gonna move on. She's happy with herself, and yeah, just go from there.
I love it. I love this movie.
28 dresses. Yeah, I like it. Coming in 2023.
Yep. You guys want to get into the plot?
Sure.
Of not 28 Dresses of this movie, The Ugly Truth, I guess is the name of the movie we're covering. Dan, what you got for us this week?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, gotta get back on track. I'm gonna give a shout out to a couple of our friends. Our one friend Tia, our friend Brittany, both at Geek Vibes Nation. Tia and Brittany have a podcast. They have a couple podcasts, I believe. Coffee Break with Tia and Top 10 with Tia. Both awesome podcasts. Obviously, the top 10 is a top 10 list of movies, TV shows, what have you. And then Coffee Break is just Tia and Brittany hanging out, kind of doing what we do, shoot the shit and talk about whatever's on their mind. They're great. Brittany streams at Twitch, I think twitch.tv/ittybitty Tia is at TC_Stark on Twitter. And she's also the head writer for Geek Vibes Nation. So just go over to gvnation.com. Search her name. You're going to find a bunch of cool stuff there. Yeah, go give it a follow.
Okay, great. And we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to some messages from friends of the podcast, and we will be back in a second.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh hi, didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribe to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back. And now it's time to get into the ugly truth. We open on Katy Perry's Hot and Cold as we get some shots of Sacramento as the credits roll. Gotta love a movie that takes place in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Career-driven Abby, played by Katherine Heigl, walks out of her house and goes to work at the local news station. She's a boss-ass bitch, as Katherine Heigl does, and she's solving problems all across the station, including seeing new weatherman candidates and dealing with the ego of her news anchor and general nonsense that she has to deal with on a daily basis.
Even that joke is kind of like, I don't know how much play that would get nowadays. They get the forecast wrong a lot, and most people never feel bad if it's a fat guy about the weatherman.
Sure.
But no, more likely to forgive a fat man. I'm sorry.
The opening line kind of sets the precedent for this movie. She's like, oh, why are they all fat? I'm like, okay, so we're right into body shaming.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, okay, we know where this is heading.
Yeah. We then cut to a segment on the news show as Cheryl Hines and John Michael Higgins do a cooking segment. And there's a light kerfuffle over the fact that the chef made duck, which Cheryl Hines doesn't approve of. I don't understand what the drama here was.
No.
But we move on. We then cut to her having a meeting with her boss, and the ratings are an issue. The show is currently getting beaten by Jerry Springer reruns, so she needs to think of something to liven up the show. He tells her he doesn't want to cancel the show, but he might have to if ratings don't improve. So in the bathroom, Heigl's associate producer convinces her to go on a date with a guy that she's been blowing off for some time. She goes to the restaurant.
Not Judy Greer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Judy Greer. She goes to the restaurant for her date, and it's with E from Entourage, who we talked about last week, who lied about his height and thought reading The Great Gatsby once was a great substitute for her personality.
Sounds like E. Did they literally just write E?
Right. It's very serendipitous that he shows up in this movie after we just talked about him.
Dating another person that is too good for him.
But she definitely makes sure to point out that he's 5'9".
Yep.
Which actually
I felt kind of hurt by that, Katherine Heigl. All right.
Yeah, he's a short king. Deal with it, Katherine Heigl.
Right. You wouldn't be able to handle me, all right, Katherine Heigl?
How tall is she? She comes off as tall.
She does look kind of tallish. She's probably like 6 foot.
She's probably 5'9", 5'10". Like, she's probably his height.
5'9", 6 foot in heels. Right?
Yeah.
There you go. We're both right.
The date does not go well as Heigl pores over printouts of E's dating profile and also the background check that she ran on him because the profile wasn't enough. It winds up being more like a job interview than a date. And predictably, Heigl returns home defeated in her terrible attempt at an emotional connection. She has a cat because this is not 2009, and back then this was symbolism for loneliness. When she's inside, the cat accidentally turns on the TV and winds up on a local station as Gerard Butler aggressively addresses the camera, spouting cliche men versus women rhetoric that would make the Man Show look nuanced. The Joe Rogan, Doug Stanhope Man Show at that. So I actually did write that Joe Rogan joke in before you mentioned it.
Great minds.
And Heigl is just appalled by this. So she decides to call the show and give him a piece of her mind. This starts off by telling him that men are indeed capable of love, despite what he says, and then describes what she thinks is the perfect man. And when he realizes that she's talking about an imaginary person, he calls her ugly and hangs up on her. The next day at work, Abby goes to a meeting where her boss announces that he has hired Mike, Gerard Butler, as a guest commentator on her news show on a part-time basis. And he plays a clip from the night before his show where Mike calls Abby ugly. And the boss says he's got a point of view and we don't have to like it, but it will help ratings. The boss would later go on to run Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of part of the scene is like, oh, that's what's been wrong in the last 6 years.
Yep. That's where I got the Joe Rogan part from. Like, oh, we don't have to like his point of view.
But he's got ratings.
Yeah.
Will he smoke weed with me on camera?
Right.
The team protests, and then Mike shows up out of nowhere to toxify the workplace. Later, he comes in to introduce himself to Abby in her office, and then they get into a little spat, and she reveals she was the caller from last night, and he says pussy in the workplace to his new producer.
Yep.
She storms off and tells John Michael Higgins and Cheryl Hines that she wants Mike to crash and burn. So during his first segment, Cheryl Hines, Georgia, and John Michael Higgins, Larry, come at him guns blazing, basically asking how he feels to bring down the collective television culture single-handedly. But Mike turns it around on them and puts them under the microscope. They're actually a married news team, and Mike deduces that Larry is emasculated by George's success, and they haven't had sex in months because he's impotent over his own jealousy. Mike's very ability to point out the problem in Larry and George's marriage lights fire under them, and when he convinces them to kiss on live TV, they go at it like a couple of teenagers.
I did kind of like the slight joke where he says her age, and then it cuts back to Katherine Heigl, and she's like, "Oh no, he said her age. This could," and then like that was the terrible thing in that entire segment.
Sure, I missed that because I was watching it at 1.5 speed.
Okay.
Abby freaks out over the display, so she goes to hide in her closet, but the boss loves it, and so did the viewers, as they got a bunch of calls over the segment, and most of them were positive. Boss now wants to steer the show into a new direction and focus on the ugly truth. Mike goes home and listens to his answering machine, where a bunch of thirsty-ass women leave embarrassingly X-rated details over the phone, as his nephew walks in and he scrambles and fails to turn off the answering machine. Then his nephew tells him that he tried to nag a 14-year-old like he told him to on the show and didn't work because he made the girl cry. Mike tells his nephew that he's supposed to do that to 25-year-olds, not 14-year-olds. That's better.
Right.
Those girls are going through puberty. They have enough problem.
I think you should probably stay away from telling any kids any of that stuff. It's very damaging.
This is obviously the scene where we're supposed to see that he actually has a heart.
Right, but it's I don't think it's done.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not done nuanced enough, I'd say.
Yeah, anytime you tell a 14-year-old that he has to wait till he's hitting on 25-year-olds in order to neg them, it's still not good.
That's like Anthony Kiedis. I didn't like the guy, the main singer from the lead singer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like his dad was taking him to like orgies when he was like 13. Yeah. That's how you screw your kid up, man.
I mean, Anthony Kiedis came out well or something.
Sure. Just look past the heroin.
Right. Yeah. The debilitating drug problem.
Who doesn't do a little age here and there?
Show you, Dad.
How else do you come down from all the coke in the morning?
So what we're saying is that's essentially where Mike is sending it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Under the bridge. At home, Abby's getting ready for bed when her cat knocks over a vase and then runs out an open window. Who names their fucking cat D'Artagnan, first of all?
I thought the same thing. Like, all right, we get it, lady. You're very
You read
well
The Three Musketeers in college.
Yeah, we get it. All right, you're sophisticated.
She chases after him and climbs up a tree to grab the cat. And when she does, her hot neighbor comes out of the shower and she can see right through his window. She can't help but get a good look at this beefcake. But at
Colin, right?
All of us leave the window wide open in our bathroom.
Well, I mean, if you got the abs of Colin, if I had Colin's abs, yeah, I would be.
I was going to say I would do that. Just in hopes. I wouldn't need nothing to happen. I just need someone to comment on it.
Just need somebody else to appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you cook something great, you don't want to just enjoy it yourself. You want other people to enjoy it. So when I'm cooking these abs, I'm working on my core. I want someone else. I don't care who it is, man, woman, whatever. Just like, hey, you look good. That's all I need.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Thank you. If they're hanging from a tree, maybe better. I'll take that.
But as she's watching, the branch she's standing on breaks and she winds up upside down with her skirt hanging at her shoulders and she's stuck in the tree. So the hunk has to come down in a towel to try and get her down, and for some reason she accidentally grabs his towel and pulls it off of him, just exposing Dong right in her face. Later, he's attending to her foot in his apartment, and it turns out he's basically the perfect guy for her. He's an orthopedic surgeon, he likes cats, he's probably got a nice dick, so she's pretty happy.
She saw it, right? She literally just saw it.
Yeah, so. It's at least normal looking from upside down, right?
Not crooked or anything.
Yeah.
Listing to the side. So she kind of, in a way, she kind of was back on what she was saying to Mike, right? Because she's talking about like, oh, he's smart and this, that, and the other thing. And Mike is saying how it's all about looks at first. So she got a good look at Colin. So she kind of proves Mike right.
Yeah, that was
She
the first
won't
thing.
admit to it.
Yeah, that was the first thing she noticed.
I mean,
before she fell out of the tree.
right. I mean, the
The
dick
first
was
thing
right
she
in her
noticed,
face.
right? You can't help it.
Yeah.
The first thing she noticed again was him,
Glistening after the shower.
right, exactly. So she didn't know Colin until she saw, he looks fucking awesome with the shirt off. Yeah. So take that.
You could grate cheese on those abs.
Oh, and how? For days.
The next day at work, she gushes to her associate producer about the guy, but then she sees Mike flirting with the makeup girl, so she turns into boss bitch again, telling him to stick to the script and don't say blowjob on air, which, probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then he says that she needs to keep him happy, so he's got a lot of listed demands. So in the next show, the Ugly Truth segment is Mike going off script, and they've built an entire set for him that looks like a fancy restaurant. It's a lot of money to be pouring on a show that's clutching to like third place in the ratings.
Yeah, morning show is losing.
It's losing out to reruns, but they don't have the budget.
Yeah. But he passes right by it to showcase the idea that men don't want fancy dinners. What they want is women wrestling in Jell-O, which he happens to have outside the studio, much to the surprise of his own producer, which seems crazy to me. Also, can't we have both?
I was going to say, I'm much more apt to having a fancy dinner.
Right.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, this is the girls gone wild idea of what men want, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is 2 a.m. Comedy Central infomercials.
It's too messy.
Yeah.
It's too messy. I don't need that.
Yeah. So he winds up jumping into the pool of Jell-O with the girls and just makes for some very good television, I guess, for 2009 standards. This is pre the golden age of television, right? Breaking Bad just started, Mad Men just started, so we really haven't gotten into prestige television quite yet. It's that weird time between Sopranos ending and Breaking Bad and Mad Men really hitting their stride.
It was a wasteland for a little bit.
It's like 3 years from Game of Thrones, season 1 Game of Thrones.
Yeah. This is what passed for television, unfortunately.
Yeah. After the segment, Mike and Abby get into it, and she's pissed about his exploitative brand of television, likening him to the naked weather girl from Canada. And right on cue, she has a dream where she is, in fact, the naked weather girl. The next day at work, she gets the ratings reports from the previous day, and they are through the roof, which Mike can't help but gloat about, and the fact that corporate now is coming down to take him to dinner. And Abby tells him that she met the perfect guy, which does exist. And they go into her office and he asks if they've gone out on a date yet. And she says no, so he laughs, which convinces her to call her neighbor Colin and ask him out on a date. On the phone, Colin starts humming and hawing, so Mike hangs up the phone abruptly and tells her if she wants a date with this guy, do exactly what he says and it'll work. Colin winds up calling back and Mike starts coaching her on the phone. At one point, he tells her to make Colin get put on hold, and they make a deal. If she listens to him and she winds up getting the guy, that she will stop giving him shit about what he does on the air. And she agrees. And then he tells her to hang up on Colin and they leave.
Yeah, it's like it feels like very much dating recommendations from Mystery at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like sort of, you follow these exact things and you'll get any person you want.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like the song Popular by Not a Surf, but for girls instead of guys, how to be popular. Every boy in the whole world.
It can't be that hard, right?
What?
I mean, for someone like Katherine Heigl, let's say it is Abby. Like this is Abby. It can't be that difficult,
right? She's already won the genetic lottery, right?
Yeah, she looks great. She's got a great job. Although being a producer kind of sucks. It's very difficult, but still pays well. You got to be confident. You can't be in that position, not be confident.
Yeah.
So I feel like she dominates the conversation when she goes out, but I feel like that's something that could be easily changed when you're doing that. I don't think she would have that much difficulty.
Right. Yeah. We need an aspect of this where he completely makes her over, like Princess Diary style, like crazy hair, glasses, unibrow, right?
Right. Yeah. You definitely need to make her average.
Right. Just because Katherine Heigl is wearing a pantsuit doesn't make her unfuckable.
Right. Yeah. It's some people like that.
She needed to wear glasses because that's how you do it in every movie.
Well, glasses and a ponytail.
Yep.
She has the ponytail.
She does, and he mentions it. I think he
Yeah,
calls her a lesbian or something.
I think in the initial phone call that she makes, right? Like, oh, like I get it, you're a lesbian. Like, what? What?
How dare you?
I would love to see her just faint, like she puts her hand up to. Oh.
Thus begins a montage of Mike's ugly truth conversation about men and women with Abby, about how men cannot be trained or improved, how to laugh at everything a guy says, and that she has to start dressing to attract men more, and her hair needs to be longer. So they go back to her place, and she shows off a new dress that they bought, and she looks great, all dolled up, but now he says that it's time to learn how to flirt. She says she does know how to flirt, and he scoffs, and then she flirts with him, and it works. Then there's a knock at the door, and it's Colin asking what happened to her today, and she just laughs it off and tells him to call her back later. But then he asks her to a minor league baseball game. So they go to the game, and it's the classic sitcom trope of going on a date while someone coaches you with an earpiece.
Quick question for Dan. Am I the only one that was confused when he has to go to the Devils game?
No.
I was like, oh, I guess they're, the Devils are playing in LA or whatever. What's close to Sacramento? San Francisco?
Cisco, yeah. So it'd be San Jose in hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was confused.
Okay.
I immediately thought it was hockey.
Yeah, I thought it was hockey, and I was like, wait, does this take place in New Jersey? Because you wouldn't say, hey, let's go to the Devils game when they're away, right? Yeah. And that you live in Sacramento.
The only way that makes sense is if he's from the tri-state area.
Right. Is that a real minor league baseball team?
I know the Sun Devils are in Arizona, but yeah, I guess.
Sure. Let's see. So at the very least, they have Sacramento River Cat.
So,
and were they in 2009? Did they go by the name?
There's a professional rec league basketball team named the Sacramento Devils.
Now
it just feels weird to name drop them if it wasn't a team.
Yeah, and the Devils were not mentioned at any other point before that.
Right.
That's the problem. If you're going to name drop a team, they have to be a major league team. So let's go see the Kings, Sacramento Kings.
Right. But here, I believe they've been the River Cats for a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they're banking on people knowing that. I think that's an odd choice.
No, I'm saying that the Devils don't exist. So it's weird to name drop out of context a name of a team that, as far as I could tell in my very brief time researching it, doesn't exist. You want to go to a Devils game with me, especially a name that actually is attached to an actual professional team. So if he was like, you want to go to a Yankees game later and they wind up at a hockey game, that would be odd, right?
It's like the Staten Island Yankees.
Yeah.
Hockey. I can't even imagine. I'd be furious.
Yeah. Sacramento Yankees.
Yeah, that's
minor league hockey. Sacramento Yankees.
Nothing better. Sorry, Mark. I know you're a big hockey guy.
You don't like the Sacramento Yankees?
The jokes are pretty good for minor league teams.
What do you mean?
No, just like sometimes just taking names that are also taken in other major league sports.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just being confusing.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
So they go to the game in class, and it's a comedy of errors as she keeps talking to Mike out loud and winds up dropping soda on Colin's lap and winds up on the kiss cam in what would most definitely look like to people around them, like she's giving him an over-the-pants hand job. At the end of the night, Colin walks her to her door, and Mike is still there coaching her. Colin plans a big old kiss on her to end the date. Colin goes inside, and Mike and Abby celebrate after he does, and when Mike leaves, he does that very telling last look back, meaning that he's got feelings for her now.
He's falling for her.
Mm-hmm.
The cardinal sin.
He's catching feelings, bro.
Yep.
Last thing you want to do.
Catch feelings. Even Donald Driver didn't catch feelings. Drop that shit. He had the softest hands in the land.
Can't. So that's a nice little callback, Ant. That totally threw me off. I was gonna say the number one problem, you can't dip your pen in company ink, man, and he's dangerously close.
Mm-hmm. On the next Ugly Truth segment, Mike dresses up in a gorilla suit to talk about the sexual habits of bonobos, complete with sexual videos playing in the background, which couldn't possibly get past censors. After the segment, Mike's nephew shows up to ask him if it's cool to accept an invitation to a Sadie Hawkins dance, and Mike says it's great. And now Abby sees a softer side of Mike. Now she's starting to catch feelings for him. After the kid leaves, Mike and Abby start talking about masturbation, how often Abby does it, but overusing the term flicking your bean. He says it about a dozen times.
I had in my notes, if you were to use this as a drinking game, you dead.
And
every time he says flick your bean.
Yep. It's like at least like 8 or 9 times, right?
Yeah. This is more for like the shock value, I think. Because you very rarely hear someone say that. Like you always hear them say masturbate, right?
Right. Or jerk it.
Yeah, jerk. Yeah.
Like I feel like it's a term that doesn't come up often in these sorts of movies, like a date night movie. It's, let's go see The Ugly Truth, and the guy gets dragged to it. And it's like, they're talking about jerking off, saying flick your bean in this movie.
Yeah, like, let's see how many times we could say it before we lose everybody.
It's gotta be R-rated, right?
This is very R-rated. Yes, they say fuck a few times, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting
yes, R
fact that it's like an R-rated romantic comedy. I guess that's got its place. I guess most R-rated
in that point of time.
Most romantic comedies, I'm assuming, are PG-13, right?
Yeah, usually, but this one's definitely an R.
Because it's making you clutch your pearls.
It is. It's in your face, man. All right, Gerard Butler. He's in your face.
Even the Batman gets a PG-13. Ugly Truth goes extra hard.
Why is everyone so confused by the Batman being PG-13? There's never been an R-rated Batman movie. I think the Killing Joke might be rated R, but that's an animated count.
No, it's because man-children have grown up and they think these movies are still for them.
Right. There's other kids out there, guys. I hate to tell you.
Yeah. She acts all stiff about it and says that she doesn't do that sort of thing. Classic neurotic Abby. So as she gets I'm sure that cat's seen some shit.
Yeah. Right. Especially, it's been at one point. I think you talk about how long it's been. It's been 11 months.
Yeah.
You gotta test it out, man.
Right.
Battery's gonna die if you let it stay dormant that long.
You gotta release the pressure valve, right? It's gotta build up,
right? That's why. I mean, I get it. That's why she's so wound up. It's the old cliche joke, like, "Oh, you need to get laid, lady." But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where I would go 11 months without doing that to myself.
Yeah. Unless you got you lost both testicles and
I'd have to lose both my arms
in the same accident, then killed James Marsden.
That's the thing. I was the Uber driver, but I live. But I lose my downtown area.
Now I'm feeling so. Getting back to 28 Dresses, I'm feeling like he's driving a classic convertible that has Just Married and the cans behind it.
Because
when he gets T-boned by that track. That's when he gets T-boned by that tractor trailer.
Right, and the only thing you see people running towards the accident. It's just you see the Just Married sign kind of float down. And then it lands. And
it's one of the cans rolling across the street
to Elton John. Oh, that's really good. Someone say,
and is that the truck driver? Is the person she falls in love with in 28 Dresses?
It couldn't be, right?
And finds out at the end.
He was you. Oh God, I think that would be so cruel.
That would be.
Yeah, it's Raul. You're like, I'm sorry, ma'am. He wasn't paying attention. He ran the red light or whatever. Must have been listening to Elton John.
It comes up at some point how James Marsden died, and then he slowly is remembering that day.
Oh, right.
We're both listening to Elton John. Same station.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Elton John cannot be played on radios anymore. It's a hazard.
It's like what the Sex and the City movie did to Peloton. When Mr. Big died, like the stock tanked. Like you see 28 Dresses and like Elton John gets Robert Marston killed. Headline: Elton John music being pulled from Spotify and all radio stations.
I mean, that might be a good thing.
Oh, I love Elton John.
No, meaning for his music leaving Spotify.
Oh, for Spotify. Okay, I was gonna say we're bashing Elton John.
Mark with the super hot take. I hate Elton John.
Does that go above or below my hatred of Star Wars?
I feel like everybody loves Elton John.
Yeah. That dude's staple.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for our podcast tropes page and just list all the things I hate.
So far, just stepping out of the context here, you have the most going on in this podcast. Don't contribute to what you've watched. You hate the most things that everybody likes, and you got the
Star
Fast
Wars,
and the Furious,
Star Wars, art, and Elton John.
Yeah.
But Summer Catch and Fast and the Furious, that's your shit.
Am I secretly the villain of this podcast?
I mean, I think it might be a secret only to you.
Oh, wow. Is that one of those things where there's an asshole in every room, and if you don't know who it is, then it's you?
Kind of, yeah.
I love that. Because Mark, you're the quiet one, but you have the most going on, and I secretly love that. I guess not so secretly anymore.
I have the most fan fiction being written.
So good.
So as she gets ready for her next date with Colin, there's a prize at the door. It's a gift from Mike, vibrating underwear. She goes back to getting ready when she gets a text from Colin saying he's going to be late. So she thinks, let me see what these vibrating panties are all about. She puts them on. There's a knock at the door immediately, and it's Mike and the boss picking her up to go to dinner with corporate. So Mike and the boss hijack the date, and Colin comes along as well. And Mike has also invited the two girls that were wrestling in Jell-O. Everyone sits down to dinner and Mike makes a crack about getting a raise, so Abby kicks him under the table and winds up knocking the remote to the panties out of her bag and out into the restaurant floor, where it is picked up by some kid that thinks it's a toy.
And apparently this kid is dining alone in this restaurant.
It does seem that way, right? So while Abby tries to talk to corporate, the kid starts pressing the buttons on the remote, causing the panties to go off with hilarious consequences.
Oh, man.
Wink, wink, hilarious.
And she winds up orgasming as she's trying to talk about the promos that they're planning. At the end of the dinner, Mike tells her that Colin likes her, he can tell. And then montage of Colin and Abby going on dates together with Pocket Full of Sunshine playing because it's 2009.
Yep.
And then after the montage, Mike and Abby have business lunch at a dive bar, and they talk about how much of a man whore Mike is, so slut-shaming him. He says that he only slept with one of the Jell-O wrestling girls, and now Abby says cock with reckless abandon.
Yeah, he specifically mentions it's the one that can read.
Yeah.
Great. Wouldn't it have made more sense if he didn't sleep with either of them? Or do you have to keep that facade going? Like, oh yeah, he is kind of like a sleaze bag.
I honestly think a written version of this movie is that he's basically just bullshitting everything. And he doesn't actually sleep with them. You know, that's just him putting up a front.
Right.
You know, but they don't ever explain if it is a front or if it's really what he's doing. You know.
And in that version, there is a story to go with.
Yeah.
Who broke your heart? When here it's just like, oh well, it's just bad relationships in general.
Yeah, I was going to say that when he has the dinner with her and like, oh, who broke your heart? It would just be like everybody. I've never been able to really pin down something like that. You know, like I've tried to go out on dates and it never works. You know, I can't do it. And he's like a fraud essentially.
Yeah, the better but still very generic thing is if the thing that broke his heart was a girl breaking up with him acting the same way Colin acts. You know, he was the guy that liked cats and drank red wine and, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
The first time I saw it, I half thought it was going to be a woman died. And for some reason that just it wouldn't have made sense. Obviously, like, why would you start acting like a dickhead after like this woman you love dies? So, but it was like I could see movies doing that.
Yeah.
But she and Colin haven't slept together yet, but they plan to the following weekend in Lake Tahoe. Next day after Mike's segment, Mike's agent shows up to tell Mike that the Late Late Show wants him to be a guest, and Abby is not very thrilled about it, at the very least because she wasn't told about it. Then her boss tells her that the trip to the Late Late Show is an audition of sorts for an affiliate in San Francisco who's going to offer Mike a job at their station for double what they're paying.
Which is more likely true? That they had the CBS joke written or whatever, and they couldn't get David Letterman, or is it Gerard Butler and Craig Ferguson's relationship that got this cameo?
I don't think Letterman has been in a single movie. So I think the assumption that he would do this movie is a farce. So probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's done Cabin Boy, and he
That's
produced Cabin Boy, and that's it.
So more likely the Scottish thing.
Yeah. So the boss tells her to fly to LA with Mike, have him do the show, and then convince him to sign a contract with the station instead of going to the San Francisco job. So she flies out and meets up with Mike and goes to the studio with him. In the car, they argue again about how uptight Abby is and how she needs to be the version of Abby that Mike created in order to keep Colin interested. Mike goes on Craig Ferguson, and we see just a snippet of it, but Craig asks him about the woman that broke Mike's heart, which Mike blows off the question. So after the interview, Mike is in a celebratory mood as they go to the bar and have a drink. Abby tells him she knows about the job in San Francisco, and he tells her he turned it down already because he wants to be around his nephew. And then Abby asks about the girl that broke his heart, and Mike says it was more of a series of girls and bad relationships more than just one specific. And then they dance on the dance floor, and surprise, surprise, they have chemistry. They almost kiss on the dance floor, but then Abby says that they have an early flight in the morning, so she should go back to the hotel. They go back to the hotel, and they go to the elevator, and he's about to get off on his floor. They make out, to the surprise of both of them. She goes back to her hotel room, and she gets flustered about how she's feeling about the kiss and that she wants to do it again. And there's a knock on the door. She thinks it's Mike, but it's not. It's Colin coming there to surprise Abby. And boy, is she surprised. He opens a bottle of champagne and he gets it all over himself, so she goes to the bathroom to get him a towel. Outside the room, Mike is trying to convince himself to go in and talk to Abby. And when he knocks on the door, Colin answers the door, and Mike gets flustered and makes up some excuse and leaves. So Abby chases after him and asks him what the meaning of the kiss was in the elevator, and he blows it off, saying it was basically nothing. She tries to get him to say that he wants her to tell Colin to leave, but he doesn't, so he leaves.
Yeah,
Abby
the whole context of everything leading up to this point makes this moment not hit as hard as I think the writers and director were thinking it would.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation in the hallway. If they would have just done maybe slightly more leading up to it of close calls between them, maybe it does.
Sure.
But yeah, it's one of those. Oh, we got to have this moment in there, and
Right.
they just put it in there.
The one problem with it is he's getting upset at her when he's the one moving in on her when she's dating somebody. And then he acts all stuck up about it.
Right.
You're the one who's, you're throwing out the big flirting. Like, you wanted to dance with her, you wanted to drink with her. Dude, you're moving in on some other guy's territory right now.
Right. It's not like Colin is some random guy. He's for all intents and purposes, he's the boyfriend.
Yeah. It's essentially the thought is that Mike's character is acting the way he's acting because he's mad that he fell in love with her. Essentially, is the thing, and he's not even thinking about Colin.
Yeah, he's a douchebag.
Yeah, I mean that's established in the whole movie.
Abby goes back into the room and basically tells Colin that she's been pretending to be someone she's not throughout the relationship, and she can't keep doing it. So she breaks up with Colin, and when she gets back into Sacramento, the boss tells Abby that Mike quit to go work at a competing network in the same market. And she says that they'll just replace him. She starts looking at prospects for the new Ugly Truth segment, and they pick one. And Mike gets acquainted with his new team over at the other network. And then we cut to a hot air balloon festival when where they are doing on location the Ugly Truth segment. Mike is also there to do a segment as well. Mike's replacement, Jack Magnum, starts his segment, and Mike watches from the news van. And Jack Magnum basically admits on air that he has had sex with over 130 women, that some of them may have been unconscious at the time, and that no doesn't necessarily mean no.
If you do the math right, he's admitted to essentially sexually assaulting 47 women.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You can't even put that as it was a different time.
Yeah.
It was very much still a big problem.
Yeah. Especially when you think about what was going on at the time in Hollywood itself.
Correct. Yes. Jack Magnum is to blame for all of it.
He's Harvey Weinstein. No.
So Abby literally drags Jack Magnum off the shot and steps into the hot air balloon to do her own brand of the ugly truth, calling out Mike right on the air for bailing on her and saying that men are unreliable. So Mike storms onto the hot air balloon and takes the microphone to slut shame Abby on air for possibly sleeping with her boyfriend in a hotel room. And they bicker for the rest of the segment, and then the hot air balloon pilot lifts off and they wind up high in the air as there is still an onboard camera, which for some reason the station is unwilling to cut away from despite the possibility of cursing on air, which happens. Then Mike professes his love for Abby and they make out in a wonderful 2009 CG hot air balloon. And then we get a quick scene of Abby and Mike consummating their relationship, and Abby may or may not be faking an orgasm, which I will refer to as Schrodinger's orgasm. And that is the end of The Ugly Truth.
Yeah, I'll admit the director's performance during that whole scene might be the best performance in the movie.
No way, you're crazy. It's Jack Magnum. Yeah, it's a Katherine Heigl movie.
Yeah.
It's a good way to describe it, I'd say.
Yeah. I wonder, thinking about it, because you guys mentioned the other stuff, I wonder how much the anchors ad-libbed their stuff in this.
Probably a good amount.
Yeah, because those actors are pretty, they're good enough to that.
Yeah, why would you hire those two if you weren't going to let them at least do a little bit?
There's that one passing line where they say either Mike or or Larry says something, and then the camera just stays with Cheryl Hines, and she goes, like my vagina. Or,
Oh yeah, something's untouched, and my vagina.
It was just it was one of those where in these types of movies when you hire those people, you're like, all right, let's just stay with her and see if she comes up with anything.
Yeah, right. 100% great.
Yeah, that's it. It's exactly the movie you think it is. It's a typical Katherine Heigl movie. If you had to say what's her stereotypical one, it's probably this or 27 Dresses.
Yeah. The so now that's over. All right, guys, 28 Dresses. So do we have a tagline?
We'll have to workshop that.
Yeah, I don't have anything off the top of my head. I'm sad though. I'm sad because Gerarduary is over.
Well, just 360 more days till Gerarduary comes back. Yeah. You have that long to figure out which movie you're going to talk about next.
And why it's The Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston.
Nicole Aniston.
That's when times get really tough for Gerard Butler. His only fan. I've never hoped for something to catch on more than Gerarduary.
We'll have to make t-shirts.
Shit out of it.
It'll be our first t-shirt. Is Gerarduary.
Yeah. I don't know which shot of him do we put on there. Just put a headshot of him. I don't know.
There's probably a picture of him looking smug behind the news desk from this movie.
Oh, we put him in the ape costume.
I was going to say, is it the one in the ape costume?
Right? There's probably a shot of him behind the desk where both hands are up, tell me I'm wrong.
So, and when you make the quotes, when you do that for this movie, it's got to be with him in the ape outfit, right?
Yeah, I'll make sure that I find the picture.
Thank you. That's my gift for Gerarduary.
All right, I think that's. I think we talked this movie to death. We also talked about a movie that doesn't exist to death. So I think we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for listening. We're going to be back next week. Next week is going to be our Valentine's Day episode. So tune in for that. We always do something special for that one. And this year will be no different. So, the director of The Ugly Truth from 2009 was Robert Luketic. So for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Delvecchio telling Robert Luketic, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Called Us a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You could also check us out on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie.